Hello, everybody, and welcome
Hello, everybody.
to the Turd Ferguson
619
Twitch stream. We stream every
Monday
at
at. That was your turn to talk.
I don't know what time we stream at on Mondays.
Whenever we feel like it, damn it.
Right. So, opening thoughts on Ant-Man. You first.
What do you mean by opening thoughts? Clarify what you mean by opening thoughts.
Just
Preconceptions or just a light glance and like what I thought of the movie overall. You go first, cause what does opening thoughts mean to you?
Okay. Marvel's latest outing, Ant-Man. Kevin Feige and I forgot who else from Marvel, maybe the director, proved what they were saying was true, that this movie was a comic book / heist movie with action. That's my opening thoughts.
So it's just a basic summary of what the movie was? That's opening thoughts?
No, it's kind of like a word association. Like if I say Ant-Man, what comes to mind?
For future reviews, Nick's opening thoughts.
You know, it's kind of like an opening essay, the introduction.
I guess you summed it up. It's a Marvel movie. It's a superhero movie, but it's a little less conventional. Not quite like Guardians of the Galaxy conventional, but different because it's what's been said before. It's a heist movie. I mean, yes, there is some superhero-iness to it, but in general, most of the movie's focused on being a heist movie where they're trying to break into a place and steal some stuff.
So the trailer pretty much summarized that: break into a place and steal some stuff.
Yes.
All right. So now from the opening thoughts, we'll talk about the story without giving any spoilers. Basically, what did we think about the story?
So Hank Pym is Scott Lang's father.
No spoilers, please. Some people haven't seen the movie.
Okay.
And
so Tony Stark is Scott Lang's father.
Oh shit! How did I get surrounded?
Well, because you were so busy focused on the review.
Okay. So this gives me time to review the movie. So the story, it's a heist movie. Could this heist movie stand on its own without the superhero comic book element? No, it can't. The story, I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was kind of an underdog story, redemption, kind of showing how power corrupts people. Do you have anything to add about the story?
Just a basic plot synopsis. It's about a guy that he just freshly out of jail. He's mostly a good guy. When he got into jail, it was mostly for the rightish reasons, where like he just like hacked the account of a big company that was essentially just like hiding funds or whatever, and he's back out and he wants to go straight, but his buddies have a plan for him to get him thieving again, and he doesn't want to, but he wants the money just so he can help provide for his daughter, who's kind of apart from, because after he stole the first time, he essentially got divorced from his wife. So he steals, but then the thing that he steals is the Ant-Man suit, and then eventually that leads him to meeting Hank Pym, the creator of the Ant-Man suit, and him eventually Scott Lang, Paul Rudd, eventually becoming the Ant-Man and doing all the things that Ant-Mans do. That's the basic plot synopsis.
All right, so now we have the action.
Yes.
What did you think of the action?
Action, I'm gonna say, in all honesty, action's a little light in this movie, but when it happens, it feels kind of creative, and it's kind of fun and interesting.
Yes, I like the blend of big people with small people.
Because this is some of the more creative action they can do, because they can play with the size difference and like, oh, everything else is big, and you know, he's small, but like sometimes there's an explosion that's happening when he's small, but they cut to like what it is in perspective, and it's a tiny little nothing. If you've seen the trailer, it's like, oh look, there's a toy set. It's gonna run the guy over. Oh no, it's fine because it's the toy train set. Ha 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 ha. So there's a fair bit of that stuff.
The climax.
Yes.
I felt as far as the climax went, I didn't feel much building up. You know, it just whizzed past the climax. It was the introduction. We meet these characters. The superhero is learning how to become a superhero, and then the story just progresses. I didn't feel any build up.
it did kind of go right into the climb. Like, okay, so basic structure of movies or books or whatever, any form of fiction is three acts. You got the opening act, which is kind of the introduction, the second act, which is kind of building towards the climax, and the third act where you got the climax and the resolution. And I felt mostly the first act is fine. You got the introduction of who Paul Rudd's character is and what his goals and thoughts and beliefs are and all that nonsense. The second act, I felt kind of a lull. Just kind of, it's setting up everything. I'm doing the montagey stuff to get prepared to become, like, for the grand thing at the end, and learning all my powers and what can I do and what is the Ant-Man capable of and all that. I felt it kind of slow and dragging. There are some humorous moments, but it didn't feel like enough. And then the climax, I felt it was kind of a lot of action sequences that were fairly creative and fairly interesting and kept things light and fun. So I think that towards the end, the movie started redeeming itself for me.
I enjoyed it as a character piece. You're following these characters along. I like the introduction, like I said. I like the action scenes. I didn't feel any climax. I didn't feel any worry.
Didn't feel any climax? What do you mean you didn't feel any climax? The
I,
ending was the climax. You know what a climax is. They're facing the bad guy. That's the climax.
there was no rise, I guess. Like I remember
Rise.
in English class how they always say the action rises or the scene rises. It's like a mountain. You got the rising, the fall.
Well, I mean, it culminates into the main action sequence. The third act is essentially a heist, and then it eventually leads into let's fight the bad guy, and the let's fight the bad guy is the climax for me. The rising is the leading into the fight. Like right before the fight, you're watching something, and then it becomes the fight. But you're entitled to your own opinion, as awful as it may be.
Okay, now resolution. After the climax, the danger, the suspense.
Uh-huh.
What did you feel about the resolution? So they fight the bad guy,
Well,
and
I mean,
then
it's very generic superhero action movie. I mean, I enjoyed the movie. It was fun, but I mean, it ain't doing too much different compared to any other action movie. Like, yeah, this could be closely tied to the first Iron Man movie because it kind of, it has, I'm discovering what the suit does, and then I fight the bad guy, and then, the end. I mean, the resolution is I defeated the bad guy. I mean, that's not really a spoiler, let's be honest. I defeated the bad guy, and things are hunky-dory in my life now. Things are better than they were at the start of the movie, just like every other movie ever made. Rebuttal?
um, so the resolution, they
Uh-huh.
just defeat the bad guy. I
Yeah.
didn't feel any real suspense or danger. I wasn't
Well, you know
worried for
they're
the
gonna
hero.
win. You always know the good guy's gonna win, so what do you mean?
Well,
Elaborate that you didn't feel any suspense.
kind of a good example would be Captain America Winter Soldier, where I felt all hope was lost, and then they added that element where Captain America couldn't defeat the bad guy because of their history and ties.
Well, this might have to do with I think what this movie suffers from is maybe a bit of a pacing problem, where like I said, like the middle in the second act when he's learning his powers and stuff, you don't really feel any conflict or anything, like because the main like in this plot of the story, the main thing the bad guy's trying to do is he's trying to figure out how to do Ant-Man stuff on his own, and then he's going to eventually do it because if you've seen the trailers, he gets to it. So I don't know. Maybe the problem with this movie is you kind of know what's going to happen in the trailers. You kind of can piece together what's going to happen, and you're just waiting for that part to happen. And it's not really showing you stuff that you're not expecting, I guess, is the issue.
Final thoughts on the movie?
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna go, I guess, unconventional with this. When Guardians of the Galaxy first came out, I remember I liked it the first time I saw it, but I was kind of on it. I'm like, yeah, it was a good movie and all, but like, I don't know. People really love this movie, but I don't know. And then after I gave it a little bit of a break, But then I went back and watched it again. I'm like, yeah, this is a lot more fun to watch. I guess like I think for this movie maybe you need to. For me personally, I think a lot general audiences are probably gonna like it, but I don't know. Maybe I need to get in the zone more, and once I've seen everything and I've comprehended everything that's happening in the movie. Not that it's difficult to comprehend, but you sit back and you watch it again, and you're like, okay, here's the beats, here's what everything's going on in the movie. I think I can, turn off my brain a little more and just enjoy the movie. And I think maybe a second or third time I'll probably enjoy it a lot more. But this time, like first impressions I have of this movie, it's fun, but there are some downtimes in this movie.
I didn't notice the downtimes. I saw it as a
I
character
heard you
piece.
yawn like 2 or 3 times.
I think that was somebody else
That's the
yawning.
that's the, I yawned 2 or 3 times. Not that it. Well,
So
I'm
you
gonna.
heard yourself yawn.
I heard you too.
I didn't. I don't remember yawning.
Well, you have a horrible spatial awareness or something. But yeah, I was aware of you yawning. I could, I felt the audience kind of like moving around in their chairs a bit. Right smack dab in the middle. It's not as interesting. I don't think it slows. The pace slows down. Maybe we're spoiled by Avengers 2 or whatever. We're just big, exciting action set pieces every half hour. But in this one, you kind of get a couple here and there, and they're interesting and they're exciting and they're fun, but they're kind of few and far between.
I enjoyed the story, the characters, the blend of shrinking to enlarging.
It's
Um,
creative. I can feel a lot of Edgar Wrightness in this movie. Like every time I see something that's like kind of turned on its head and kind of creative, I feel like, you know what? That's probably something Edgar Wright came up with. Like I feel like the final scene where like once again, I don't think this is really a spoiler because it's in the trailer, but like where they're fighting on a toy set essentially, I feel like that's something Edgar Wright came up with. Like, oh, these superhero movies have to have big action set piece climaxes where, they're destroying half a city. And how funny would that be if, like, since these characters shrink down to size, what if we destroy something to that scale? So what's something to that scale? Oh, how about it like a little toy train set or whatever?
um, well, we covered our final thoughts. We covered what we felt about the movie. Xbox unplugged for us again. We wrapped everything up nicely. I guess it's time to go to our score now, to the
Yeah.
scorecard. Um, as far as this movie, I would rate it a check it out if you have time.
You need to set up your scoring system because that doesn't mean anything.
I feel like it is a good movie. It's worth watching.
Screw your dumb scoring system. Base it out of either out of 10 or out of 5.
No, I like my system.
Yeah, your system that nobody's ever heard of before and doesn't make any sense.
Nobody's heard of other reviewer systems, and they're
Out of
pretty
10
good.
or out of 5? I'm telling you what to do.
Or when somebody says it's a good time, no alcohol required.
That's fine, but
I like mine.
I'm gonna because you didn't introduce your things because you're such a great performer. I'm gonna read your dumb nonsense.
No,
Here
but
it is. Okay, the worst is don't waste your time. Okay, that's fine. Number 4, not my cup of tea. Okay. Number 3, depends on your preference.
so that's the middle
Number
of the
2,
road.
check it out if you have time. And number 1, don't miss it. You didn't set this up before, so that doesn't make any sense. Okay, without setting it up, I'm gonna say check it out if you have time. That's my rating.
That's yours, or you're making fun of me?
I'm making fun of you.
Oh, okay. So let me explain mine then. Check it out if you have time. I like this movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I went to see it as soon as possible.
Yes.
I think based on what you were saying about the movie, the points that you brought up,
You didn't really bring up that many points. You kind of just scooted along.
I like the movie. I'm a Marvel fan, and it's really hard to give these movies unbiased rating, just because I like superhero movies,
I like them too. I'll see every goddamn movie they make, but
and I won't complain about it either.
well, I
I'll
think
see
it's
'em and-
helpful. Well, rate this out of all the Marvel movies you have seen. Where would you put this?
A tie with all.
That's dumb. That's dumb because you and I have both talked about how we dislike Thor: The Dark World, how just in general, like Iron Man 2, Captain America 1, Thor 1, we're meh on that one. So clearly you have opinions on the other Marvel movies. I think on the it's For me, this movie leans towards a funner side, where like say Winter Soldier's a little more serious. This one's more fun. I say it's kind of around Guardians of the Galaxy's funness. I don't think it's quite as fun. It's creative and interesting, and that's what leads to the funness. I feel like it. I feel like it's similar to me to Guardians of the Galaxy in humor and kind of set pieces in general, like Iron Man 1. Uh,
Yeah, that's right. It did have that Iron Man 1
Well,
feel to it.
Because I have this thing that nobody else has, and I'm, testing it out and becoming accustomed to it, which is kind of a lot of what Iron Man 1 had, which is I built this suit nobody has. I have this amazing, fantastical contraption that nobody has and nobody's capable of creating yet or utilizing or whatever, and I have a nemesis that's trying to do the same but hasn't quite cracked it yet, and I'm learning how to use it, and then, I'm going to do amazing, fantastical things with it.
So what's your rating?
Of your dumb scale, I put it, don't check it out if you have time, miss it.
Wait, what does that mean?
That means it's in between your two dumb ratings. Where I think, as a Marvel fan, go ahead and see it. It's probably worth your time. He's going to eventually be in Captain America: Civil War. I think I like the character a lot, and I'm more interested in what the character is going to do and interact with like Tony Stark and Bruce Banner. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. This movie, I think it's worth a watch, definitely. Maybe I'm being a little tougher on it, saying, it does. If me personally, it has that lull in the middle, and I know there was a kid like just sitting like a couple seats away from us, and I don't know.
There was a kid sitting next to me, and
Yeah.
I saw him get up and never come back.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Because it has those fun moments.
But that kid missed out on the fun moments.
Yeah, but it comes towards the end. Is the point? Like, there's dialogue in a room. There are some fun action pieces, but they feel small in comparison. No pun intended. They feel small in comparison to like what you've seen in the other movies. They feel more focused. Like it's the one guy and his power is. It's not a superly cool power, so you don't feel like he can do super awesome things. Because I think eventually, in the comics, Ant-Man eventually can grow large in size, and I think they sort of alluded that in the movie. I'm not sure, but I feel like maybe like in an Ant-Man 2 or whatever, maybe he discovers like the power to grow really big in size, and maybe they can do more fun things, and maybe that's when the movie can. That's when a movie like an Ant-Man 2 can carry itself on its own, when he can not only shrink in size but grow as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things in my research or things that I came across Ant-Man was that he started out shrinking, and then some of the videos I've seen don't explain much about him talking to insects, and later they decided to add him being able to grow large, but they gave him that name Giant Man. So I guess there's been
Giant Man.
There's been different iterations.
Isn't that the guy from DC? I'm gonna look this up. Giant Man.
So there's been a couple of iterations of.
Why are you defaulting to Bing? Oh, I guess yeah. Okay, fair enough. Giant Man, Marvel. Moving on.
Yeah, so it's like Ant-Man, Giant Man, and then Yellow Jacket.
I don't care about that's. We're talking about the movie. We're not here to talk about what's its comics. Oh yeah, as a score, I give it like a 7.5 because that's a more sensible score than whatever nonsense you've come up with. Like I said, I don't think it's the best Marvel movie I've seen, but I think it's definitely worth a rewatch, and I think I'll eventually grow to like it. That's what I got to say about that movie.
Thank you guys for watching this.
Go out and see it.
Go out and see it. And remember, we Twitch stream every Mondays.
Well,
right now, we're still working on a set schedule.
Well, you can't say we're set in stone. We're Twitching, streaming every Monday. Now, guys, we're working on a schedule.